I've got a thing for provocative titles. My debut book, Who Built the Humans, is a twist on that existential question of why are we here? Who created us? Um, so, we've got creationism that tends to answer those questions. As I've learned whenever I've promoted the book on Facebook, there's always somebody called Barry from Cheshire who turns up and he's always very keen to tell me that God created the humans and that writing my entire book was a waste of time. So yeah, Who Built the Humans was a provocative title. Another provocative title I think I've got, I quite like this one, is Listen to Me, You Little Wooden Bastard. And that is a short story inside Who Built the Humans, in which God, who by the way is just an angry teenager, um, is playing with his toys. And in that story, he's not actually a teenager, it's a little bit beforehand, so it's a bit of a prequel to the main body of his story, where he walks in on his babysitter having an affair with his dad. And his mum turns up and bashes his dad's teeth in, and they fly out into the sky. It's a fun story. Another provocative title I've got would probably be my Manchester Fringe. I nearly said Edinburgh Fringe. It's going to the Edinburgh Fringe in 2025. It would be my Manchester Fringe show, Philip Carter's Awkward Re-Entry, which was precisely about what you think it's about. It's a dark and dirty sci-fi comedy about alien abductions, and my theories as to why they like to touch butts so much. So yeah, awkward re-entry. The idea being re-entry is a reference to re-entering Earth's atmosphere, and you know the deeper, serious side of that is I used to live in Liverpool for 4 years when I was at university. Probably the best time for me creatively. I have bounced back to the same flow state that I used to be in Liverpool, but it was not easy. Um, so yeah, I returned to Manchester, which really felt like I was falling back down to earth, back to normalcy, because Liverpool's weird as fuck, and that suits me very well. So when I come back, I thought, well, this is my re-entry, and awkward re-entry. The awkward part of it references this idea of, like a sexual encounter that didn't go too well. And that's what I talk about in the show is aliens picking up humans, and they think they're doing what we're into, but there's some communication issues. Humans and aliens, we need a safe word, that kind of stuff. That's actually going to be a line from the show as well, so there's a spoiler for you. And there's some jibes at most of the world's religions. I actually do have, from a few years ago, a little spreadsheet sort of thing which describes the pros and cons of every single religion that mankind has ever came up with. And that would take a while to get through. So I trimmed it down to all the major ones people know and then some of the more niche ones. And I'm going to probably do that at the Fringe as well. The thing is with that kind of stuff is that's like so provocative because some people are really emotionally invested in their religions. It's like sports teams. If you remind them that sometimes their team loses or sometimes their team mutilates children, they're not too happy about it. And that applies for both footballers and religions, strangely enough, as does the wearing face paint and putting silly hats on your head and attacking the other team. But yeah, provocative titles are kind of my thing. I really like provocative titles. So you got Who Built the Humans, which is basically instead of Who Made the Humans, Who Built the Humans is just a twist on that idea. So we've got a technological suggestion. It suggests there's a technological answer to the origins of human existence, which is good because the whole theme of the book is cosmogenesis, this idea that something somewhere created the universe. It might not have specifically created us, but it created the universe and it got the ball rolling in that direction. And then we came about at some point. And the question there is, were we intentional? Were we part of the code? Did they foresee us? Or are we a bug in the system? Were conscious beings ever supposed to happen? Are we conscious at all? I know some people that I don't think are conscious. But that's beside the point. And then there's some other titles I've got, such as Beyond Uncertain Stars, and I don't think that's too provocative. It's a little bit provocative, um, because you're thinking, what is an uncertain star? What's an uncertain star? You don't know. Um, and there's it's not drilling a hole through the temples of some idea that people have had for millions of years, well, thousands of years, but maybe millions of years. We don't really know how old the human race is, and it could have come back in cycles. I'm accidentally writing a new story whilst I'm doing this video. I'm sorry, and the poem with the drilling through the temples. So yeah, we've got that going. Beyond Uncertain Stars is sort of provocative because you think, how is a star uncertain? And then there's other ones such as the conscious planet, and March of the Prayer Phage, which was a rejected story from Who Built the Humans because it didn't fit in because I added the Nori Furukawa time travel universe instead. Because you've been here so long, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. Here's a little spaceship I made out of spare Lego parts from my old eBay shop, which used to keep my publishing company alive. But I've since sold all the Lego apart from those pieces there, so that's my new junk ship that I'm going to take on adventures with me. So yeah, where was I? Time travel, provocative titles. Yeah, so Who Built the Humans? The next book is going to be called Who Killed the Humans? And the answer to that is going to be different for each story you read. It's going to be darker, sillier, weirder. I don't ever intend to offend people when I'm writing stories, but you do have... It's an inevitability when you're writing anything that has meaning to it. So, Who Built the Humans? Just the title pissed some people off. And it still tickles me. Like 4 years after it came out, there's still people that get pissed off about it. It doesn't happen very often because admittedly, I don't put that much money into advertising it anymore because it just kind of like I sell like one copy a week, even if I leave it alone. And I'm kind of happy with that because it means that people are still reading it and still discovering it. It's not thousands of people, but I'm happy with that because the weird thing about the book is that when people like it, they really like it, and they'll go out of their way to like find my email address and tell me they liked it, and that's how I've actually made one or two friends in the industry. Is they're like, "Oh, you're weird as fuck. Let's be pals." And I was like, "Brilliant." There was one great time at Gorton Cathedral in Manchester where there was a book fair, and I had a guy come up to me who was a veteran of the big five publishing companies, the traditional publishers, by the way. And he was congratulating me on the cover and on the synopsis, and he said it's amazing that there's still books out today that actually put a synopsis on the back of the book that actually tell you what the book is about, because people don't do that anymore. And I said, I know it's irritating, isn't it? And he was like, but I really like this, and I really like the cover. Oh, and the formatting's good as well. Oh, you've got a contents page and a map at the back that explains how each universe interacts with the next. And he really liked it, and he said, Half Plate Press, who's that? It's just like a small press. I've not heard of them before. I went, yeah, it's just a small team. It's usually just one or two people. And he was like, oh, right. I said, specifically, it's just one person who taught himself everything. And he's like, oh, that's amazing. Who is it? And I said, it's me. And he turned to me and he said, he put the book down. He said, how do you have the time to sleep? And I had to be honest with him. I didn't. I don't. Sometimes I just stay up, make myself sick. But that is my mission. And this video has been me explaining my mission. This lunatic drive to make books weirder and stranger, while still being nostalgic enough to remind you of the good old days when books used to tell you what they were about on the back, rather than just having a nondescript, nebulous review from somebody who called the book brave just because it has an 8-page sequence about somebody crying into a yogurt. So yeah, that's me, Philip Carter. I write weird books with provocative titles. I'm going to get weirder. And if you stick around, you could support me getting weirder. Because I've also got a podcast where I find other weird people and shake them until stories come out. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope this explained to you some bits of my writing process and why I pick the titles I pick, even though they might not exactly be the industry standard for titles. I've not called any of my books A Song of Building and Humans, but we do have weird titles here at Half Planet Press, And there's a reason for that. The books are weird on the inside.